push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ysn Power Hour for this Power Monday. A little bit chilly, a little bit temperatures. The old mercury dropping a little bit here in Northeast Ohio, the way really it should be this time of year. But of course, we won't let you down. We'll heat things up today because we got a lot to talk about. A little bit heated today. Not going to lie to you. You're going to find out why in just a moment. But first, we bring in the legend, Mr. Richie Giuliano, and of course, my name is DJ here in the Athletic Studios, YSN World Headquarters. Richie, how are we? How was the weekend?
Oh, it was fun. It was fun for sure. Luckily, Canfield was able to win and move on, so they're going to get a 3-time repeat with the Chardon Hilltoppers. So, out of all the years, I think this is the year they could do it and get to state for the first time since 2005. And, I was lucky enough after our All-Star game go down, watch the second quarter to the fourth quarter with JFK and Southern. So, that was fun too.
So you, what people don't know about you, Senor Preparation, is that you watched Chardon video for hours and hours and hours on end yesterday. While we were watching NFL, Richie's sitting there watching Chardon video, Chardon tape. Third time, man, these teams will lock up. You like the odds a little bit more than you did whenever we talked on Friday night or on Saturday night. So what did you see on tape that you liked about Canfield's chances?
Well, I think Chardon's a lot younger than they were in the years past. They still have two really talented guys. They're quarterbacks getting some D1 looks. They're halfback / wide receiver slot guy, which they kind of motion around a lot, gets a lot of looks. He's been all over the place at some MAC schools visiting. So he's definitely a great athlete. They have a first-team All-Ohio cornerback returning from a year ago. So they've got some talented pieces. Of course, when you're a two-time state champion in 2020 and 2021, you obviously had some underclassmen that were really solid. But I think where Canfield is going to favor on Friday night is the inexperience at the line position for Chardon. The majority of their line is sophomores, and they're actually very young and inexperienced compared to what we've seen in the past, and they're smaller. Ursuline's offensive line in every single position is bigger than Chardon's, and you saw what Canfield was able to do defensively against that Ursuline offensive line. So, they are a great football program. They run that offense that is very difficult to stop. They've got a great head coach who's done wonders over there in Chardon for the past couple of years, and you know what? They're the man. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And Canfield's going to have to prove that on Friday night. Chardon played their worst football game of the season, probably in the last 3 years, against Kenston on Friday. Did not score a touchdown, and they still won 10-7. So that shows you a lot about their winning mentality. And, good teams just find ways to win games, and they do that.
First thing I'm going to tell you, Richard, is the next time you say to be the man, you got to beat the man. If you don't drop a woo in there, you're out. You're done. You can't use it anymore. So you owe me a woo. Let's hear it.
Woo!
Yeah! Woo! The nature boy, to be the man. Woo! You got to beat the man. All right. So one of the things that I was interested in very early this morning was when you look at temperatures throughout the week. So today, high of 39. Tomorrow, high of 41. And then she slips down from there. Wednesday, 38 in rain. Thursday, 38 and potential snowflakes. And Friday, it's 31. It was crystal clear when I woke up this morning, and now they're saying there's a 30% chance of precipitation in snow. So when you look at
They get slippery.
You look at Chardon, and you're saying they played their worst game of the year when the weather was adverse. Canfield played one of their best games of the year when the weather was adverse on Friday night. That's why I advantage Canfield on this. I mean, you look at and I don't think, to me, and players and parents and coaches can tell me I'm wrong, at least from the games that I was watching. And I got to see a little bit of your game, our game, JFK's game, and Westbrook. The weather really wasn't as much of a factor as I thought it would be. I mean, it was pouring down rain, but those teams were equipped. And obviously, one of the conversations I had with a coach on Friday was the footballs are different. They're not all built like this. The old leather football you see with Al Bundy and his 4 touchdowns in one game. They're different footballs, and they're actually built for leather. They get grippy. Is that a word? Grippy when they get wet. So it actually helps. And I don't know if parents and I don't know if everybody knows about these Cutters gloves. So they actually are so tacky that these players can one hand the ball like OBJ, right? And like the ball will stick, give them a little advantage. So I'm not saying that that's what happened on Friday night, but what I'm saying is they had a little bit more technology than we gave them credit for. So if it's like that, Rich, if it's snowy, do you like Canfield even more? Or was Chardon holding their opponent to 7 last week? Do you think that it's going to be a slobber knocker, like knockout, drag out fight?
I thought that for Ysn Canfield, and it turned out to be kind of a shootout. I don't know. It depends on how Chardon is able to defend number 12, because he did it in all aspects of the game on Friday night. He was able to throw it. He was elusive out of the pocket. He was spectacular on his feet, busting out 2 big runs and scored 3 touchdowns on the ground in the second quarter to kind of build that significant lead. If Chardon can bottle up Brock Lowry, then you bring guys like Danny Inglis and Scotty Eaton into the scene where they're going to have to step up and have a big night, or it could be another 10-7 football game in the regional final.
You ready for this? So I'm on Drew Pasture right now. Did you look at it yet?
I don't like looking at that.
You don't like it?
It makes me nervous.
Why does it make you nervous?
I don't know, because I don't know. Every time I look at it, something goes the other way.
Well, you like this one, man. Region 9, number 1 Chardon, 11-1. D3 Region 9, obviously, by 8 over number 2 Canfield, 11-1. D3 Region 9. So if it goes that way, and it's opposite day, as Ysn was favored, Richie, we're talking about the Canfield Cardinals going to the state semis.
That'd be
next
nice.
Friday night. Next Friday night. That would be good. We got a lot to talk about. I want to break down more of the games per se. We're going to skip over on this day in sports history. There's nothing good today anyway. Don Shula was like the all-time winningest coach. I think that's the greatest thing that happened. Congratulations, Coach Shula. I don't even know if that's still a thing or not. So from your perspective on Friday, now people don't realize, and maybe they can go back and listen to it, right? It's worth the $2.99 to go back and watch it and listen to the announcers. We were set up perfectly for that game because you got Romo, who's the play-by-play guy, 99% of the time for Ysn. You're the play-by-play guy for Canfield. And you guys were kind of going back and forth, which was good, and something that the other guys didn't have. So from that point, I know that Romo got really upset because what people don't realize is we invest so much of our heart and soul into these teams. So when people call us homers, it doesn't even hurt anymore. Like it doesn't penetrate the skin like it used to, because we feel like we're doing right by not only just one team but all the teams. And you guys didn't have any homerism because you just kept going back and forth and almost like a sparring fight in the booth. So what was it like in the booth for you guys as it was, it was a shootout? You said it. What was it like for you guys? I know Romo was ready to throw a chair.
Yeah, obviously it was a frustrating night for him, but because Canfield had the lead from start to finish. They took a 6-0 lead on a 54-yard run from Scotty Eaton, and they never trailed. So you kind of felt the frustration on the sideline from Ursuline, their fans, and Romo wasn't really mad, but then like it started to build up in the second half when they were making some mistakes, and there was no tension between us. We were just glad we were there, able to call a football game together, because we haven't been able to do that all season long. And we also had somebody up there helping us with the camera, so that was a nice night, being able to just look at the numbers and call the play as you see it without having to worry about anything else distracting you. And yeah, it was fun. I mean, for me, it was nice because they came out and they took care of business, man. I tip my cap to Mike Pavlansky and his squad for going out there and putting together a great game plan and kind of calming the storm for this Ursuline offense that has been so electric this year, especially last week against Talmadge when they came out in the third quarter. They had like 3 big plays over 40 yards to kind of take the lead and beat Talmadge, and then it was just 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards. Like you kind of felt Ursuline was waiting for that big play to come open, and it never did. But from a broadcasting perspective, it was a lot of fun. Just being able to announce in that environment. It was rainy. We were kind of smudged together in a small space, so it was definitely a lot of fun, and we just enjoyed being able to do it together, because you never know when you're going to have that opportunity again.
And then you had a sideline reporter who was doing a damn good job on the sidelines, Mike Ackelson, just doing a great job for us, but other people didn't really think that he was doing a great job for everybody else, for the whole gander, so to speak. How awesome is it to have a guy like Mike on the sidelines and kind of just leave the broadcast open? You guys kind of talk together.
Yeah, I mean, we told him, hey, whenever you want to come in, just open up your mic. We could hear the crowd, and we'll go down to you. And we went to him quite frequently throughout the ball game. So, even when there was like little penalties that we couldn't hear because of the rain, the official's mic crapped on us, so you couldn't hear anything. And Mike was down there, and he could hear the officials talking to the coaches, which was nice. So we'd go down and say, Mike, we can't hear up here. There was a couple of penalties that they didn't signal. And we were like, what was going on? He's like, yeah, I heard him talking this. It just helps the quality of the broadcast. Like, you get a different perspective on the sideline than you do up in the booth, because, Mike can hear the coaches talking. He could hear the players talking, the different assignments and formations that they're gathering throughout the game. And, maybe even some audible calls, like we like to say.
A little Omaha. From your standpoint, I mean, we'll get to South Range here in a second, and then we got to break some news, I guess, about the situation at hand coming up this weekend, in case you haven't heard. But for Richie, for you, this is a very prideful journey, because I saw, when Mike was interviewing Coach Pavlansky, obviously we got their back. Because Mikey needs to know. He knows he's been in this for so long. He needs to know where the camera is and turn back. But it was raining cats and dogs. We're not going to give him too much flack for that. But the smile on Coach Pavlansky's face. I mean, one of the best guys you'll ever meet. But he doesn't often. And when it's business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the first times I've seen him just completely ear to ear grinning.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think goes into it? The ride he's on right now with this special unit, this special team, led by 12, Brock Lowry, the dude.
It was emotional for sure for Coach Pav. I mean, after the game was over and the clock finally hit 0, he put both hands up in the air, and he was smiling, hugging his family as they were coming onto the field. And that was the first time I've seen him that emotional, since 2020, where they were able to get to the regional final against Chardon. And, I think he understands that, this year is very special because there's 28 seniors. They're senior led, and this is their year, right? I mean, if they don't win it this year, it'll be tough to come back and get to that point again next year with a lot of inexperience, especially up front in their line and in their defense. So he knows, I've been here a long time. He's seen some games in 2005 in the state championship where they were one play away from winning it. And Drew Sonsenbacher from Ohio State caught the game-winning touchdown in the back of the end zone to beat them. So, he's seen how close It's in how many plays it takes to actually win a state championship. And the effort that his guys gave tonight, they were the underdog, but they hit hard. They played physical. They played tough. They weren't afraid of Ursuline. I think he was just so proud of his guys coming out there and just really perfecting the game plan that him and his coaching staff kind of brought up throughout the week.
Can we put a kind of bow on Ursuline's season? Another great season by Coach Reardon and the boys. I mean, you talk about what not. I mean, there's people picking Brookfield against Ursuline in week 1, and they make it to the regional finals. From that standpoint, or the regional semis, Ursuline is going to be there regardless because people know the expectations that Ursuline brings up. I mean, you saw it throughout the year, Rich.
Oh, I talked about it with Romo on Friday night, and this was at the end of the broadcast. So of course, when Canfield was kind of taking the reins and they knew they were going to win the ball game, we were shining the light on Ursuline and what they got coming back next year. You got our YSN co-offensive player of the year, Christian Lynch. He is just a junior. Jack Erickson, your starting quarterback. He is a junior. You've got guys like John Frangos, who was their leading tackler at the linebacker position. He's coming back. DC Farrell, you can't forget about DC Farrell. He's just a sophomore. So the talent is there. They do lose all 5 seniors up front, but they got some guys that were playing at the JV level that they really like coming up next year, and I think they'll be just as good, maybe even better when they come back in 2023, especially with the experience that they have. They're going to be able to make a lot of adjustments in the offseason at certain positions, and I really like the Irish because when you look around our area, a lot of the teams this year that are in the regional semi are senior led. Chardon's the one team that is not. There are a lot of sophomores on that team and a lot of juniors in Chardon, so they're going to have to compete with them that year. But I like Ursuline. I think they're one of my bold predictions to go to the regional final next season.
Wow,
yeah.
The pick that is going to certainly be kind of cast all the way over 9 months.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
We'll play this back in 9 months and say, Richie, this was your pick. You got to go with him now.
I hope it's right.
It's not a bad pick, man. Not a bad pick at all. And listen, you and I are certainly, I'm a little bit more social media fanatic than you are. I know you're not on the book, but I know that people were giving Ursuline and Mooney all kinds of flack for losing on Friday night. But I got to tell you, man, and I'm not here to say that you should feel bad for them in any means because they're 2 proud programs, but they played very good teams. They played 2 very good teams in South Range and Canfield. And, let's face it, there's a lot of people that didn't think either team would be in that situation in a week 13 game against anybody, let alone 2 really, really good schools in Canfield and South Range. Did you hear that?
Either got in an accident or they're not happy.
If this wall comes down behind me, I just want everyone to know that Richie owns the company now. So for my game, obviously South Range and Mooney.
Is that a car, a person? What is that?
I have no idea. It's something. It's right here. I think they're screwing something into the wall. This is why we're moving. This is one of the many reasons. This and because it smells like a fishbowl in here because it leaked over the weekend. I walked in and this smell just overcame me of smelled like a dirty fishbowl. Like it just terrible. But that's going to be one of my, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Yeah, Kristen. Oh my gosh is right. So at the game on Friday, obviously we got there first. So we were, got there as soon as possible because we wanted to set up, be out of everybody's way, kind of in a $9.99 a night kind of way. We want to make sure that everything goes right. So we get there early, take care of it. And I'm glad we did because, man alive, it was raining cats and dogs. And, you get wet going up in Girard, and it's just they were trying to blow the water off the field with like a leaf blower. It was super slick. The players were talking about The footing wasn't necessarily great. We saw a couple slips. One was on a kick for Logan Butcher on an extra point. So because he's usually money, and you saw him just slip up, and that thing went down. So for the game on Friday, Mooney controlled the majority of the first quarter. They were just physical. They looked a lot like Garfield, and the idea was to keep South Range off the field, keep that offense, Billy Skirpak, everybody off the gridiron for as long as they possibly could, and they did it. So we went scoreless in the first, and then this was the turning point of the game. Ball's on the 1 yard line, and it's fourth and goal, and Mooney didn't get it in. South Range turns it around, goes 99 yards. Skirpak punches it in from the 1, and the most emotion I've ever seen. And he's pretty even keel. He comes off the field, helmets off, looking at the crowd, screaming at the crowd, telling them to get up, get excited. And it was like you just felt like that was it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, but you felt like it was. It was a gut punch, because what is a proud offense always for Carter Mooney, 3 yards, 4 yards in a cloud of dust, right? Don Butchie football could not break the spirit of South Range on the 1 yard line. And I think that's what really was the turning point in the game. There's going to be a lot of people that'll say, well, it was a 14-6 game at one point. It was. But I think if you really look back at that, to go the entirety of the field and then stop at the 1 and then have South Range go 99 yards on you and score, to me, when I look back, and I'm looking back with trying to be equal, and I go, that was it. That was the drive. But there were plays throughout the game. Naturally, at a 14-0 halftime, Mooney gets the ball. If you watched Ursuline Mooney, if you know this Mooney team at all, they're a second-half football team. They come out inspired. They adjust. They adapt. They overcome. And they come out and they score and could not get the extra point. So it ends up 14-6. And from there, it was just all South Range. I mean, it was like a flip switch. South Range turned it on. They got some turnovers, and we talked about turnovers being, how you make the difference and impact the game in a fast way. And Billy Skirpak impacted the game by having all 5 touchdowns. All 5 touchdowns. 2 on the ground, 3 through the air. And I will say this, one of the best catches you will ever see in high school football. In the back corner of the end zone, Aiden Leone literally catches the ball one-handed like this and just pulls it down like it's just a Nerf ball. It was unbelievable. WFMJ had the best angle of it. Without a doubt, we had the best call. But that was the dagger. To me, that was the dagger. And both teams, I will say this, both teams were very, very sportsmanlike. Again, we talked about it with Garfield and South Range. And for us, there's an opportunity to just be chippy, to just throw your weight around and, be a teenager and be a hothead. And they weren't. Nothing happened in the huddle. Nothing happened in the handshake. So I tip my cap to Mooney. I mean, dude, they were 1-9 last year. Mm-hmm. They had so much happen to them this season off the field from a standpoint of distractions and things that kids shouldn't have to deal with. They're battling life situations, real life situations, and I tip my cap to them, and I tip my cap to this coaching staff and Coach Pelini and Coach Shepis and the whole coaching staff, because it's easy to let things overcome you and point fingers. There was no finger pointing after the game. They said, hey, South Range was the better team tonight. And you don't hear that much anymore. You don't hear people admitting that someone's better than them on a given day. And the parents were in the same boat. It's easy to blame referees. It's easy to point fingers at other people in other places. And this is why we lost. And I want to commend Mooney and the whole community for not being like that, for saying, hey, they were the better team. This was a good ride for us. Not what we wanted. They didn't want to lose, obviously, but South Range is a pretty special team. You know, I put it in the storyline, the heading. Range is for real, and people need to realize that. And it's not just a homerism. This is a good team. I mean, okay, it's the same thing week after week. Yeah, you beat Hubbard. Yeah, you beat this team. Yeah, you beat that team. But when you beat a Cardinal Mooney, Richie, I think there's a little bit of eyebrow raising that goes on, and people go, oh, okay, maybe those guys on YSN aren't just blowing smoke. Maybe this is the real deal. Maybe this team, this South Range team, could be a special team. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an encyclopedia of South Range history. Like getting called out and having somebody say something at the broadcast, fine. I get it. But at the end of the day, I've been on this ride for 6 years, and I knew right off the jump, this team had something. This team had something that some of the other teams didn't have. I wasn't sure how far they go. I'm still not sure how far they go, but I know one thing. They're going to week 14, and that's a pretty special ride. So great broadcast. Bo was in the booth next to us, scared the bejesus out of all of us throughout the night, especially Gary. So that was a fun point in the broadcast. And then our sideline reporter, Chris Sigler, I'll take the heat for it because the sideline thing didn't work. So we just brought him up in the booth and said, let's just talk. Let's talk it out. Do a Friday night football broadcast like Monday Night Football, and it worked out. So all successes across the board. And now, Rich, we have 5 teams in 4 games this weekend?
Yep.
So
5 left.
So here's, and we'll talk about the other games obviously throughout the rest of the show, but we got to break this up a little bit and tell you because those were the 2 Friday games. So this morning we're planning on going to all these games this weekend on Friday, on Saturday. We're starting to cut up our different broadcasters for different games and do kind of our roundtable in our draft. And we get an email, actually several emails and several notifications that the OHSAA and Spectrum are going to be either doing live broadcasts or live streaming of every single regional final game. And what that means for you at home is that there is no power play, power pass for the playoffs anymore. It's all done. What it means is they're trying to kick us out of the booth. But fear not, my friends. Fear not. We don't go down that easily, because what we are going to do, and we are approved right now for 1 game out of the 4. We are doing South Range for sure. We are cleared for that. That was the first one that came back. Berkshire, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We are still have emails out and calls out to all the other sites, and hopefully we'll be able to be cleared for that as well. They will be all audio broadcasts. All audio broadcasts, because we are not permitted via the OHSAA and the deal they have with Spectrum to broadcast those games in any capacity with video. So the good news is you get those games for free. The bad news is you got to listen to us and not see it for yourself. So you can't just turn us down, all you psychopaths out there. I know you're out there. But exciting nonetheless. Hopefully we get the clearance for those, soon. I know Quinn's on it, all over it. But the games are going to be free to listen to, kind of like the old days. I like to spin it back to vintage YSN, where people listen to them for free, and it didn't have any video before COVID, because that's when all the video kind of came together. So although it's a bummer, hopefully people can take advantage of it and listen and obviously support the sponsors as well, because they're the ones footing the bill for this one. So you don't have to. So good news, bad news, depending on how you take it. But I'm kind of excited for it, Richie. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know Gary's my award-winning video journalist with the stick, but I know that he's probably a little bit excited. I'm probably going to have to curtail him a little back, because if he's not doing the sticks, he's probably going to want to talk a little more. And we've had to slow him down a little bit, because if there's no video there, like you and I talked about, I can't go, because nobody knows. They'll think you're choking on a banana or something. So, You got to be excited. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get it. And obviously, it's a bummer for us. We do like bringing the video to everybody, but for you, Rich, it's you. This is where you shine, man. You are the best play-by-play in the business. You just draw up a beautiful picture for everybody at home.
I always have a true passion for radio because that's one thing I always grew up listening to is radio with, Tom Hamilton, who was the broadcaster for the Indians and now the Guardians at the time. And, I always enjoy listening to Ohio State football on the radio, especially when I'm traveling around on Saturday afternoon. Of course, everybody wants to watch the game, but I think there's truly something special about listening to a football game on the radio, being able to paint that picture and describe it to the audience where they can't see what's happening. And, I'm really excited to do it either way, whether we were going to do video, whether we were going to do audio. I don't really care. I'm glad to be there and I'm glad to do the game. And, I'm glad to represent YSN and have a good broadcast with Chardon and Canfield, who's going to be a great game. And, if we're not able to do that, probably be there anyway. So, hopefully we're able to get in the booth, but I'll be there anyway.
We'll be there in one capacity or the other for sure. We'll cut highlights if that's what we have to do. That's not a big deal.
Sideline.
Burbick wants to know, what are the odds? Well, let's go to the fantastic50.net, which is Drew Pasture's site, obviously. South Range, 13-0, is favored by 9 points with 69% certainty over Perry. Perry's number 3. I think that Perry did well because of the weather. If there was any team that, when you look across, I caught a little bit of that game, and Perry, they can run the ball. There's no doubt about it. They can run the football. But I will say this, and I don't know if it goes into the algorithm or not. If it's cold, if it's snowy, it's going to be interesting because South Range does not let people run the football. Do not let people run the football at all. So I think that's kind of what goes into it. And they're putting up some points. I mean, if Mooney can't, and Mooney, I'll get the stats, but I don't think they had a whole lot of rushing yards against South Range. And if they can't run it, I'm going to be hard pressed to say that Perry's going to be able to, because you said what they've got some left tackle that's pretty sizable. But how fast is he? They've played size all season. Canton Central had size, University had size. So it's going to be interesting to see who lines up against this cat and how quickly. And if they do that, can they go one-on-one with Bailey Ryan? Will that open up things for Chris Colucci on the front line? Because that front line on the defense has been so spectacular. And I think that, the physicality of that game on Friday, some of these guys were a little beat up and licked their wounds on Saturday. But I think that where they're at, Rich, I think at this point, if you're not excited to be week 14, then you don't deserve to be there.
And you got to take into consideration, week 14 is very special because not every team, consistently can get to this point like some of our teams have in the past. And, you don't want to take this moment for granted because you never know when it's going to come back into fruition. Like Romo and I were talking about it. He said the other day, he's like, man, I wish I would have cherished that, state championship with Springfield a little more because, now I'm out. I'm out. I got nobody left. Of course, he might join me on Friday with Canfield, but that's not really his team. Ursuline was his team, and he thought that, they had a chance to go to the regional final and beat Chardon, and, they probably did if they were able to get past Canfield. So, you just got to cherish these moments because you never know when you're going to get back to them. And we got a lot of good senior classes around our valley and a lot of good football teams. We're lucky to have the amount of teams that we do in the regional final. And, I like a couple of our teams. We do get one automatic bid into the state semifinal in Division 4, so that's a positive. But going back to Perry real quick, I sent you that link last night. I was able to watch that game against Garaway. AJ Kiffis is the guy that you were mentioning. He's 6'5", 290, their left tackle. That's a Division I size tackle there for the Perry Pirates. And they're a bigger school than South Range. They moved a division up from Division 4 to D5, where they lost to West Branch by a touchdown last season. They're a skilled team. They played a really good schedule. One win that I really like from Perry is beating Kenston in week 2 bad. They beat them by multiple touchdowns. So they've definitely played a very good schedule. A lot of Division III teams mixed in there as a D5 school. But I just think South Range has been battle tested. They've played that offensive line a lot bigger than they are, but they're quicker. and they're more skilled. So I do like South Range by at least 8 points in the game on Friday.
I will tell you that there was to start the game, South Range started some rugby. I don't even know what you call it. It looked like I can't even describe it. They came off the sideline all in a straight line. Right off the sideline, they go right up to the ball and then run like wild bucko, like wild the version of wild pirate or wildcat, right? And it didn't do a whole lot. I think it was Leon off the left side, but it kind of set the tone for the game, I think. And Mooney, like, okay, what do they have up their sleeve? Because the people that I've talked to say that South Range hasn't even made it through 50% of their playbook offensively. And if you look at their games and you look at the scores, as a defensive coordinator that plays South Range and that comes across to the media, to you, and it might be smoke signals, but listen, they've got no reason to tell me smoke signals, right? And if Coach Allegretto or Coach Yeagley or any one of those coaches say that we still have 50% of our offensive playbook left, I go, oh my, because what else is up their sleeve? You know what I mean? How many more pirate parrots do they have to pull out of the hat before people go, oh my goodness? Because you're in week 14. If you're only 50% through your playbook, what are we waiting for? But they keep blowing these teams out. Yep. You know, they're clocking teams still. Like they were 1 point away, or 1 2-pointer away from clocking Mooney. And you sit there and you go, okay. And I think that was it. You know what I mean? Because they didn't want to give Mooney a chance. If you get that clock going with, I think it was 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you get that clock going at that point, it's done. It's over. They missed the 2-point conversion. And I know people were upset about that. Oh, you're up 34-6. Why are you going for 2? That was strategy. Because they saw what Mooney can do with the football. You know, you never have Mooney out until all those zeros are on the scoreboard and you guys are shaking hands. You never count Mooney out. And that's what that was, is trying to get that clock going. So there's no chance. Like it's you versus the clock at that point. And there wasn't a whole lot of movement through the offense, you know, in the fourth quarter. So it's to me, Perry, I don't want to say be ready, but like, I think, and I don't speak for the team at all, but I think when Garraway went down, because they were like a mirror image of South Range, I think the team, you know, some of people, me, went, okay. Because like Garraway last year was a dogfight, trick play touchdown at the end, you know, and like a halfback toss pass to Lindstrom to Leon. And I don't know, my heart can take it again this year, man. It might have to at some point. But I think right now, South Range, they're primed, they're ready. And I know at 11:30 at night, Coach Yeagley had 3 videos to his teams watching Perry. And some of those guys were already starting. We were at kind of like an after party. And I know some of them were already watching film. You know, these guys, again, they're hitting different. So we're going to take a break. We come back. We'll talk about the other games. We don't have firsthand insight. Well, you do a little bit, the JFK game. So we'll talk about that one because to me, that was the surprise of the weekend. Could not believe that was going on. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the other ones right here on the YSN Power Hour. Officially, I can tell you, brought to you by Toyota of Warren. Back after this.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at MyersFamilyINX.com or find us on Facebook.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Yoakley and the legend himself, the guy in his own kitchen because he needed a sandwich, Richie Giuliano. Rich, good for you for staying home today, man. I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to be doing a little bit more remote stuff, catching up on a little bit of R&R because everybody here at YSN has been busting it for the last 13 weeks and a little bit more than that. So I appreciate not only all you've done, because you have been, I mean, this was your first jaunt as like a full-time guy, right? So you've been just dug in, elbow deep, getting dirty, having fun, and obviously a mainstay on the Power Hour. So I can't thank you enough. And filling in on Running Point when needed for Anthony, when we were still at 2 hours, and now just a 1 hour show, but a lot more jam-packed segments. So we're excited for it, and we've got some big news coming in the next few months, guys. So if you're out there and you love what we do, please, please, please be patient. We want to bring the big news to you, but we have to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And Richie, perfect segue into I's dotted, T's are crossed, even though they don't have either one of those letters necessarily in their name. Warren JFK, dude, what an unbelievable showcase that they put on Saturday night. We talked about Southern Local. You and I were on the Southern train all year long because of what they did, and JFK showed up and JFK showed out in a rout on the big stage. So what did you see from that JFK just became so impressive?
JFK's athleticism kind of took over there. I mean, you had guys like Antonio Smith that were playing both sides of the football, running the ball and then making big plays in the end zone. A couple, Aiden Rossi came in the third quarter, and he ran a big one down the sideline to get him within field goal position. And then their quarterback, Caleb Hadley, took care of business. He was able to command that offense very well. And we talked about this in our preview on Friday. And I took Southern. You took JFK. Others took Southern. I was surprised on how well JFK defended that wing T, because when you look at guys like Noah Perfetto for the Indians and Wyatt Morris, who is one of our Baird brothers, big dogs of the Valley, time and time again, rightfully so, because he was a beast, they controlled them. We were used to Southern getting those big pops, right, for 40, 50 yards apiece. It wasn't like that on Friday night. It was 3, 4, 5. The offense seemed a little out of sync than it has been all season long, but JFK's athleticism to beat them to the outside and not allow those guards to pull in time to hit the blockers was the big reason that they were able to come out with a win. I mean, their linebackers were huge in that game, especially Aiden Rossi, who was a standout on Friday night.
Yeah, Rossi's always a standout. He's been a standout and a mainstay in that program for years. And when you look at, just who JFK is, I don't care what anybody says. When you're playing 13, 14 weeks of football a year and you get that extra month of football, that extra month of practice and preparation, even when you're a freshman, sophomore, junior especially, and you come back and you guys can get ready and get into the playoffs, you're ready for a run because you understand that you are in for a ride, and it is a 6-week gauntlet to get to that state championship. And I also think there's something that goes into it, that the stage is not too big for JFK. It's not too big for teams that have been there before. I talked about it on Friday, Rich. JFK, their eyes did not even dilate when it came to this game. It wasn't anything about Southern. It was just, this was another game. It was another nameless, gray-faced opponent in front of them that happened to be in a Southern local uniform. And, people don't, they think I'm crazy when I say that, but like, you can practice and practice and practice. I mean, listen, it's like karate, right? If you're in enough sparring matches that you're going to be ready for a bar fight when it breaks out, you're going to bust somebody's nose. It's exactly what happened on Saturday night. JFK showed up. They've been in enough of those fights, and they said, hey, we're here. And I think, we always talked about Southern. If they get behind, it could be trouble for them because they have to run the ball.
Yeah, they were behind 21-0 at one point, which was the largest deficit that they've had all season long. And you kind of felt that effect from them because when they threw the ball, they picked it off twice. So, they weren't used to throwing the ball, and that's the reason that there were 2 interceptions. But I don't know. I think JFK, they proved a lot to me on Friday night. I think this is a team that if I had to pick out of all of our YSN teams, they have the best chance to get to the next round. I think they're better than Danville, hands down.
I'm with you. I'm saying, and I'm going to show my hand. Now, surprise, surprise, I'm going YSN across the board on Friday and Saturday. But Steve Laszlo, I mean, he said it on Friday, and he's point blank, simple as anything, saying it again, schedule matters. And, you look at JFK's schedule, and I said arguably the best schedule, toughest schedule, gauntlet in the first 10 weeks. And I think this is why they are heading into week 14. Agreed?
100%. I mean, when you look across the board, they beat a Perkins team that's 10-2. Perkins just lost in the regional semifinal by 7 points. And, that was a great football team that they beat. They beat another really good team in Cleveland Central, or not Cleveland Central Catholic. Who was it? Wasn't Cleveland Central Catholic. Springfield. That was the other team that they beat. And then Southern, and then Danville's another good football team. Oh, Garfield was the other one. Who was 9-3, and they took care of Garfield in week 3 in the 2-point conversion to win the football game. So, JFK plays a lot of schools that are under Division 7, and I think they definitely were tested compared to what Southern played throughout the season, and I think Mr. Laszlo is right there.
Schedule matters. I will also say this on behalf of the people who were talking up or talking down, rather, Warren JFK after that Springfield game. What does that say about Springfield?
Means they were really good, but they just had a tough schedule to start.
That's what I'm saying. I really think that people are overlooking how good Springfield became over the course of that 10 weeks. And while schedule matters, I think that experience matters as well. And when you've got some great coaches, experienced, seasoned coaches, like those teams do, you're ready for a fight. And again, Springfield, to me, was in that game, obviously because of the talent, but also because when you look at it, they've been going 13, 14 weeks the last few years, 15 weeks, I guess, when they were in the state championship at that time. So when you were 16 weeks, right? Because that was when everybody was in.
Mm-hmm.
How many weeks did they have that year? Because it was only 6 games.
It would have been so it would have been 16, right?
I don't know.
Or 15.
15, I think.
15 weeks. Yeah, because 16 was from 2020 to present.
Okay. So, yeah, you look at that. I mean, again, when you're playing 15 weeks a year instead of 10, or in that case, 9, you're going to get some better experience. It's a whole nother season, and the playoffs are different, a different animal than any other time of the year, other than maybe rivalry games. But all right, so we got that game in the bag. JFK moves on to play Danville. I like JFK in that game as well. Did you happen to catch any of the West Branch game?
I did. I saw the ending.
Holy cow.
That was a good game. I honestly wasn't going to turn it on because at the point West Branch was, handling Buckle in the third quarter. And I'm like, all right, they got it. They're going to play probably Jefferson, which they had a big lead at the time. And then, Buckle slowly but surely kind of kept creeping in. And I'm like, what is going on? And then, I was texting some people. They're like, you might want to turn this game on. And I did. And I'm like, that was a lot closer than I thought.
And what a call from Chuck and from Mike for that game, because I mean those two bleed green, and it got a little dicey, got a little sketchy at the end there, but Drew and the boys able to hang up another dub. And I mean, I'm going to ask you this question because these are the two teams left, and they're playing each other coincidentally.
Mm-hmm.
West Branch, Jefferson. Who is more underrated, under the radar between those teams?
Jefferson.
You think?
Mm-hmm. I think everybody knows about West Branch because they've won how many in a row now. Drew Shields is going to Eastern Illinois. Martig's a great wide receiver. And Jefferson, they're up there, in Ashtabula County. And I know Sam Torres and Ryan are very proud to be from Ashtabula up there, and they're proud of Jefferson, and rightfully so with the year that they've had. But a lot of people don't know the talent that Jefferson has outside of one player, and that's Grant Hitchcock. But it takes more than one guy to get to a regional final game. So, when Sam comes on, he could obviously describe the team a lot better. I don't know him as well as he does, so I'm not going to act like I do. But I know that Jefferson's got Grant Hitchcock, and he's been really, really good. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground. So
I was on the way back from the volleyball all-star game, and I had their commentary on the car.
Mm-hmm.
And all I know about Grant Hitchcock, other than he's a stud quarterback, is that his body is a temple, because poor Pat went into this just rant into Grant Hitchcock's body and how it's a temple and how he feeds it well. And I'm sitting there dying laughing. And I called Sam on Sunday. We sat down for about an hour and talked. And I said, hey, I just got to ask you, how did you not lose it when Pat was talking about Grant Hitchcock's body being a temple? Because in our business, there's transitions. You kind of have to lead the way for your color commentator. Pat was the color commentator that night. And the play-by-play typically has to take that and transition and segue into the next drive or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I would do. Cause I sit there and I wonder a lot of times when I'm listening, okay, how would I transition out of that?
Get out of this. Yeah.
And he just hard left turn, 1st and 10 from the 20.
That's what I would say. My body's not. I just had McDonald's for lunch.
Oh, I was dying, man. I was cracking up. And people don't realize, we bust on each other because we're family, right? We're allowed to do that. I can't say anything to Pat because I don't know if he knows Grant Hitchcock and what he puts into his body and what he doesn't from an eating standpoint. So if he knows it, great. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. That's insight that other people don't have. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, how is Sam going to just manufacture this conversation? And he goes, yeah, 1st and 10 from the 25. I was like, what?
You know what my favorite is when they when Pat would he would give it to Sam, and then they would just all in rhythm scream, "That's a touchdown,
Falcons!" they're nuts. They're crazy. I
was actually sitting there at one point just laughing.
Oh yeah,
but it's awesome.
I love it.
It's a great laugh.
I love it, and you know what?
Entertaining to watch.
And that's again, people are thinking that we're Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico. That's not us.
Everybody's got their own style.
Yeah, everybody's got their own style. We have some guys that are super professional. Richie, you can be the most professional person, but I think that better and worse. I mean, this marriage between us, you've loosened up a lot, and I think I even heard you laughing on the air the other night, which was funny.
Yeah, I usually don't do that, but outside of there was one game, if you ever have a chance to go back and watch, and Gary will tell you this because he will remember it. It was Canfield versus Cleveland JFK, not Warren JFK, Cleveland JFK. And we could not get a word out without laughing during that because there was so many things happening. They were getting delay a game after delay a game because their guys would go, all of them, they would go over to the sideline, get the call, get out to the field, then they win another play, delay a game. Go to the side. It'd be 3 delay games in a row. And we were just dying laughing. And, that was probably the one time where, my grandpa even texted me during the game. He's like, you got to turn the mics down. You guys keep laughing. I'm like, we can't even hold it in at this point because I would look at Gary and I would die laughing. Just like pod the mic down, just let the game go.
Like when you're in
like 50-0 at the time.
I hate to sell Gary out, but when you're with Nitz, like he just starts giggling and you can't stop. Like you look at him and it's over.
It's contagious almost.
Yeah, because and forgive me if I told you this already, but we're in the booth, and there's a window right by my like right off of my right arm. So it's myself to my left, it's Sigler, and to his left is Niddle. Niddle's doing the camera. Sigler's kind of being my eyes in the sky. I'm not able to get the tech because we're in Girard. You're off the ball. Like if they're on the far side of the field, you're toast. You can't see. And with these old boys, I got no shot. So I mean, it's getting a little bit like tense, right? Because nobody's scoring the first. There's some penalties, and all of a sudden you hear this big bang. And I look out, like my first instinct, I heard it on my right, and I know who's on my right, and I looked over to my left. Poor Gary got caught up because he looked right at Bo, and Bo just gave him the like points at him, and I see it like I'm watching it, and I'm just like, don't look over, don't look over, don't look over, like don't look over. You like I don't want a chair flying through that window or whatever it may be, because Bo Pelini is the most intimidating cat in the world. Nicest guy he's ever, like always very kind, polite to me. I love Bo. Scares the hell out of me. Scares me to death. And when you should have seen Niddle's eyes. They were like saucers, and he for the first time he couldn't talk. He couldn't speak. So I'm gonna have to bring Bo with me everywhere I go to calm Niddle down, so we can get a word in edgewise. But it was awesome. I mean that whole night. I mean, again, we trumped it up not because we wanted your money, but because we believed that those were unbelievable games and matchups. And to me, they were. Yeah, you can look at the scores in a couple of those games and go, well, but to be able to witness history, Mooney's never played South Range and vice versa. It's been 38 years since Ursuline and Canfield locked horns.
Yeah.
JFK and Southern, I believe, again, I'm probably got somebody texting about know your history. I'm not sure the last time they've met or if ever, from JFK and Southern standpoint. So West Branch and Jefferson, my gosh, is that going to be a fun game to listen to? And we're going to help out. So, we're not sour about the whole thing, about not being able to stream the live video. We're going to help out. So if you guys do want to see the live game, you do want it, we're going to make sure that the links are up there so we can help you out. I think they have a fee associated with it, right, Rich?
Believe it's $9.99.
Yeah, and we don't know if they're going to have an actual broadcast, so that actually benefits you, so you can watch the game and you can listen to us at the same time. And maybe I know I have to do it at home whenever I'm kind of managing my streams and watching a game, because I listen to a Steelers game and then watch it on CBS or wherever it is, Fox. So we'll try to line you up for that and help you out from that standpoint, because this isn't sour grapes. Like, we're not mad about it. As long as we got a seat at the table, we're happy, and we're going to be at these games come hell or high water. So you ready to spark it up there, big boy?
I'm ready.
All right, let's hit it. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical you need to get a hold of the best in the business, call or visit DickeyElectric.com. Oh, gosh, here we go. Let's visit some of these first. It was everything I could do not to laugh. The coverage will be fantastic no matter what. Siggy's always got our back. Uncle Siggy. All right, what do you got? What's your spark today, Mr. Giuliano?
I think one of my sparks has to be like the waiting area in a doctor's office. Like, so you wait outside, right? You got to fill your name in the sign-in sheet. You wait. All right, that depends on what's happening inside. That could be anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. So, all right, you get past that point. You could be frustrated. Then you get in, and then they put you in your room, and then you're waiting another 20, 25 minutes.
Oh.
So it's like, I've been waiting for like an hour, and I'm usually pretty patient, but at this point I'm just like, I mean, what was the point of me waiting out there if I got to wait in here? So that's my spark.
You got 2 waiting rooms, basically.
It's 2 waiting rooms.
And the worst part about that for me is always it's you wait for that hour and it's a 5-minute meeting.
Yeah. Like I just have a regular checkup. Like just get me in and out.
Turn and cough, man. Turn your head and cough.
Come on. I mean, this is like unreal.
Mine is going to be the unbelievable All-Star game that was put on. I got to give a ton of credit, and I mean a ton of credit to Anthony Hartwig for building up that thing out of thin air, from getting the rosters prepared, making sure the girls were communicated with, to broadcasting the game. We were all ready for huddle, and all of a sudden huddle's down for repairs, and we had to adjust accordingly and make sure that that we had the game to broadcast and stream, because it's pretty big around here, pretty big around these parts, to be able to do it. But give a lot of credit to Anthony. I give a ton of credit to those young ladies, because listen, I see a lot of volleyball, and I've seen a lot of it for the last 6 years, especially. That was one of the best volleyball experiences I've ever seen in my life. There was so much talent on that floor. It was hard to watch one person because it was just wham, 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 wham. I mean, like beating the skin off that volleyball. It was unbelievable how many talented girls we have for volleyball in this area. And then lastly, obviously the opportunity to raise money and raise awareness for Winnie Volnagel, who is a 2-year-old, 2 years old, guys, 2 years old, who is battling leukemia, like battling cancer. And like I said at the game, I don't think there's anybody that ever should have to go through cancer, because it's a dark place. It takes you to a dark place, and everybody tells you to be positive. But a child should never, ever have to experience that. They should never know words, like chemo and the tubes and all that stuff, and have to understand what goes on and why cancer is affecting their life. And I'm so proud to say that we raised over $2,000 that night, and more people are contributing as we speak. And I can't be more thankful and grateful and humbled and honored to be just a piece of that, because, people don't realize how expensive some of these things are. And, even every penny, every dollar counts. And nobody, Richie, you were at the gate most of the night, and nobody said, I'm not paying this. Cause what are we going to say? Like it's a donation basically.
Yeah.
But everybody was happy. They were donating throughout the night. Paul, a couple of people I definitely want to thank. Paul Cusick, the athletic director of Crestview, did not charge us a dime for it. He said it's all taken care of. We greatly appreciate that. I want to thank Laura Nappy for the kindness and kind of leading the way for us and making sure that everything was good. She stopped over and was smiling ear to ear for that. I want to thank the Crestview coaching staff for setting up the net, tearing down the net, all the stuff that goes with it, making sure that everything went smoothly. Mr. Balputness, the public address announcer, the best pipes in the entire state. And he's amazing. Professional as it gets. He made it effortless. His great intros, his great, the music, everything. So I want to thank him. And I want to thank Dan Hill and the superintendent and the entire Crestview organization, all the fans that showed up. That place was pretty jamming, dude. I mean, you walk in and there was little places to sit along the way, but we had the rafters filled all the way up to the backup. So I can't thank everybody enough. We put, if you go to our social media, you can see, you can still get involved and help out the Volnagels, help out Winnie. Again, she's 2 years old, battling leukemia. And if you could find it in your heart, even if it's $1, I think that, it goes a long way in the grand scheme of things. We always talk about if everybody has $1 in a stadium and they all contribute, how much money we can raise to eliminate cancer. So this is one of those opportunities. So thank you to everybody that came out, Richie, including you and Quinn, and obviously, my family, Sarah and the kids came out, and the godparents came out as well. So that was good. And Ty and Anthony and Mrs. Hartwig as well. So a good night. for YSN. It really was, but a better night for hopefully volleyball and an even better night for Winnie's Warriors. So that's going to do it for our show. Richie, anything left?
Yeah, I'll put this up real quick.
Okay.
From Radar. Julian McLaughlin on the all-time career rushing leader now, Youngstown State. So that's pretty cool to have, that record in our backyard.
That is and he's got over 8,000 yards, dude.
Yeah, he's crazy good.
That's cooking. That he's going to be playing on Sunday somewhere.
Yeah,
you have to believe.
Sure.
So that'll be cool to see him, Penguin to pro. Hopefully next year we'll keep our fingers crossed for him. Anything else?
That's all.
Let's get the hell out of here. That's going to do it for the show. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be a Tuesday edition of the YSN Power Hour right here on YSN. Thanks for tuning in. Peace be with you. YSN, thanks.